Hey everybody, so I'm here to talk to you about what happened at the Colorado State Capitol today here in Denver. First, I will give a little context before I go further. I have lived a couple blocks from the state capitol for many years. I cut through there as a shortcut probably 4 times a day, going to and from work and to and from the gym and whatever else. So I'm always cutting through the state capitol grounds. So in the last month, I've probably encountered at least, well, today would be the 8th anti-Israeli protest. So people supporting Palestinians protesting against Israel. And each one of these, that I encounter, I'll chat with a few people, try and find, a few people to talk to ask them a few questions, get their perspective, especially people that were born over in that Middle East region, because they get their perspective, because they have more insight to what's going on over there. And so that's what I was on my bike today, this time, when I was riding past. And so I want to ask this one guy. I heard his accent, so I was like, okay, and he was speaking in Arabic, so I figured, hey, okay, he's probably from over there, so he's a nice guy. I'll ask him, see if I can get his perspective on a few things. And he was a nice guy. He said, yeah, I'm from Egypt. And just as we started chatting, and I was going to ask him a couple questions, this lady came to me and she started yelling at me to the top of her lungs, screaming at me, "You're trying to undermine us. You're a Zionist." Just yelling and screaming to the top of my lungs, to top of her lungs. And I was like, no, what are you talking about? I'm just trying to ask this guy to get his perspective. This lady should do the same thing. She should educate herself. That's called educating yourself, doing research. And then she pointed out the water bottle on my bike and said, you're clearly a Zionist. Well, let me tell you about my bike. There's 2 water bottle racks on my bike that normally would hold these 2 bottles. The front rack can still hold a bottle this tall, but the back rack can't, because this summer I had a storage bag installed under the crossbar of the frame of my bike to store snacks. And so now there's less space for that water bottle rack, but I can fit a shorter water bottle, that's about that tall. So that's why I bought this water bottle this summer. You notice the difference, see? There we go. That's why I bought that, that's why I had it. And I didn't care what it said. I just, it's a small bike shop. They only had this particular water bottle, that height, and that's fine. I don't care. It's the height I need. Well, it says Morton Elite. I don't know. I looked it up. It's a nutrition company it looks like based in Sweden, but this water bottle happened to say Israel on it. When I bought it, I probably figured that's probably an Israeli company. I don't know. I didn't really care. I just wanted that size water bottle. So she saw it said Israel on it, but you'll notice it says Morton with the M, and you can look it up, Maurten, and it says Morton Elite, but you can look it up online. It looks like a Swedish nutrition company that has nutrition supplements for endurance sports. It looks like it's based in Sweden. I don't know what the Israel connection is, but she started screaming at me, and she wouldn't stop screaming. And I was trying to tell her why I wanted to talk to this guy. She's like, "Why do you want to know which part of the world he's from?" And I'm trying to explain to her because I want to get the perspective of someone from that region of the world, and she should too. But she is not there to learn anything. She's not there to do research. She's there to yell and scream. And she wouldn't listen to what I had to say. She was just screaming and screaming and screaming. And then other people started joining in, calling me, "Oh, you're clearly a Zionist. You're a Zionist. You're trying to undermine us." And they kept saying the same thing over and over. And so I was trying to bring up that normalization agreement between Saudi Arabia and Israel, which I will expand on shortly. That's primarily what I wanted to ask the guy from Egypt about. And he was a nice guy, but we didn't have a chance to converse because these people started yelling at us. Or yelling at me, really. But before I knew it, there was a complete circle of people around me getting really nasty and vile. That lady, the first original lady, no one has ever been so nasty to me in my entire life. And she just was absolutely, disgusting. That's why, but all these other people joined in, they're doing the same thing. I'm trying to tell them I want to talk to this nice guy about the normalization agreement. They didn't even know what that was. They didn't even know it existed. They don't know anything about what's going on over there. They're just a bunch of people from downtown Denver that are just going there to yell and scream because that's what they do. They watch garbage TV. They don't really do any research about anything. They don't really know what's going on in the world. Half of them probably can't look at a blank map and tell you this is where Israel is, this is where Saudi Arabia is, this is where the West Bank is, or Gaza Strip. They probably can't tell you that the West Bank is called the West Bank because it's bordering the West Bank of the Jordan River. But anyways, I will now talk to you about the normalization agreement and why. Well, I'll just start talking about that, and we'll expand on some other issues like Iran's support of Hamas. So, and also I was going to ask that guy, this normalization agreement between Israel and Saudi Arabia, which also included the U.S., and part of it would have given concessions, Israeli would have given concessions to the Palestinians, and involving benefits and possibly, of the two-state solution which Saudi Arabia and the U.S. endorsed. They endorsed a two-state solution, a Palestinian state and an Israeli state. So it would have made sense to see where, I wanted to ask that guy from Egypt, do you think it would have made sense to see what would have come of this normalization agreement? Wouldn't that have made sense before Hamas decided to attack? At least wait until after the agreement so well, maybe I won't attack then. But at least wait to attack till after the agreement to see if it would have satisfied you or not. But Iran backs Hamas to the tune of over $100 million a year. And they did not want to see this agreement come to fruition. So there's speculation that they obviously helped Hamas commit this attack. See, the thing is, Israel is the biggest enemy to Iran, and Saudi Arabia is the biggest rival to Iran. So Iran didn't want to see this come to fruition. But anyways, let me get into the normalization agreement. Now, according to the website of the U.S. Institutes of Peace, the normalization agreement, and this is about, this article was written on September 28th, 2023, this year. This article, where I got this information, was written or published 10 days before Hamas attacked Israel. So this information was 10 days old when Hamas attacked Israel. Now, this article was written by the U.S. Institutes of Peace, Louis Kurtzer Ellenbogen, Hisham Yusuf, Robert Barron, and Adam Gallagher. Well, I'll just give some points that were contributed by all these people. They said that this normalization agreement between Israel and Saudi Arabia would have included formalized security guarantees from the U.S. It would have included U.S. support for a Saudi civilian nuclear program, meaning nuclear reactors for power plants that provide electricity, and not nuclear weapons. And it would have included Israeli concessions, like I just mentioned, that would have provided the Palestinians with benefits and possibly statehood, which the two-state solution, which, like I say, is endorsed by the U.S. and Saudi Arabia. Also, it said, over the past few months, and with seeming acceleration over recent weeks, meaning the deal was really gaining steam in recent weeks before the attack, and it said potential avenues towards overcoming obstacles and mitigating the kaleidoscope of concerns have begun to emerge. On the security arrangement, the sides seem to be exploring an arrangement similar to the security relationships with South Korea and Japan rather than the guarantee offered under NATO. On the nuclear program, the U.S. and Israel are reportedly working together on a proposal that satisfies each side's oversight concerns. As for the Palestinian issue, both the Biden administration and the Saudi leadership have been clear that they expect the agreement to result in positive steps toward resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict through a two-state solution where both sides endorse. The Palestinians, okay, and this is another thing. There is an agreement 3 years ago signed with Israel, the U.S., Bahrain, and the United Arab Emirates, UAE. Those four countries signed a deal called the Abraham Accords in 2020, and but that deal was negotiated in secret, not involving Palestinian input. This deal between Israel and Saudi Arabia was including Palestinian input. In fact, it said the Palestinians have been actively engaged with the Saudis in this process, reportedly delivering a list of requests for the Israelis and Americans. The Palestinians have internalized lessons from their reactions to the Abraham Accords and sought to proactively shape and benefit from what they believe to be an inevitable agreement. This week has witnessed some parallel firsts when Saudi Arabia's first ambassador to the Palestinian Authority presented credentials to President Mahmoud Abbas in Ramallah, and Israel sent an official delegation to Riyadh for a UN conference. The U.S. also granted Israel long-sought entry into the visa waiver program, verifying that the latter had met key requirements over the course of the pilot period, including granting Palestinian American visitors to Israel the same entrance and movement rights as all other Americans. So again, the Palestinians were actively involved in this normalization agreement. They were actively involved. Mahmoud Abbas is the president of the Palestinian National Authority. He's also the chairman of the Palestinian Liberation Organization. And he's from the Fatah political party, which it recognizes Israel's existence, whereas Hamas does not recognize Israel's existence. And the only goal Hamas has is to completely replace Israel with a Palestinian state, not to have a two-state solution, but to completely replace Israel. Hamas has been the de facto governing body in the Gaza Strip. Now again, the Gaza Strip is where Israel is launching its weapons right now. But Hamas has been the de facto governing body in the Gaza Strip since 2007, when it ousted the Palestinian Authority from power. Now, according to the Council on Foreign Relations, Iran provides Hamas with material and financial support, and Turkey reportedly harbors some of Hamas's top leaders. On a side note, the Fatah political party dominates the Palestinian Liberation Organization in the West Bank. Now, Iran is one of Hamas's biggest benefactors, contributing funds, weapons, and trainings of over $100 million annually, like I just mentioned. Also, according to the Council of Foreign Relations, Iran was quick to praise Hamas's assault on Israel and pledge its continuing support for them. Turkey is another stalwart backer of Hamas. Palestinians in Gaza have not voted for a legislature since 2006, nor a president since 2008. Again, Hamas is completely restricting life in the Gaza Strip. They haven't let there be an election for a legislature in 17 years, and they haven't let there have been a presidential election in 15 years. So there's no democracy, of course. And then according to Freedom House, the Hamas-controlled government has no effective or independent mechanisms for ensuring transparency in its funding, procurement, or operations. Hamas governs more restrictive than the Palestinian Authority. It governs more restrictive, including by controlling how women dress. Again, Hamas controls how women dress in the Gaza Strip. They enforce gender segregation in public. Hamas also represses the Gazan media. And civilian activism on social media is also repressed by Hamas. And it also, Hamas represses political opposition, and it represses NGOs or non-governmental organizations, leaving it without a mechanism for accountability. According to the U.S. Department of State, the U.S. Department of State says Iran's support of Hamas is primarily through its Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which enables mass terrorist activities, including through the transfer of funds and the provision of both weapons and operational training. So again, Iran did not want this agreement between Israel and Saudi Arabia to go through because it would have also included concessions and possibly statehood for the Palestinians. And this attack by Hamas also was selfish because Hamas knows they're not going to beat the Israeli military. So they do this attack, but then they retreat to their tunnels and their bunkers while they leave the Palestinian citizens in Gaza exposed to the retaliatory bombings by the Israelis. So they don't care about the Palestinian citizens. They use them as human shields anyways. So again, and back to what happened at the state capitol today, it's, really, seriously, you're going to attack me because I happen to have a water bottle that says that. I did not buy this water bottle because it said Israel on it. I bought it because it was shorter than that water bottle, which is what I needed. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And to yell and scream at me and not have any kind of decent conversation because you don't really know anything. And it's all, the majority of those people, that's all they were doing is yelling and screaming. Like I say, a lot of them are from the Capitol Hill neighborhood, and they just gather there and they yell and scream, and they don't even know what they're yelling and screaming, and they don't know any of this stuff. They can't give you, have an intelligent conversation with you. Half of them probably can't even look at a blank map and point out Israel or the Gaza Strip or the West Bank. It's just unbelievable. And so I want to say thank you to the Colorado State Troopers that were standing there, because these people probably would have attacked me if they hadn't been standing there. I mean, they were, that original lady, the ringleader, she's just vile and nasty. And I hope they eventually come across this video, and because I want to tell you, if it was just you and me in a back alley in downtown Denver, you would not have talked to me like that. Now, I want to show you, again, the bike racks on my bike. So I'm going to pick up the camera, and we're going to look at my bike. So, alright. So, it's kind of dark. Maybe I can turn this light over here. But you can see this bag here. Let me see if I can... This bag here is the storage bag I had installed, so you can see that doesn't leave much room for this rack. See, this water bottle fits nicely in that back rack, but it doesn't fit in this because of that. See? So that's why I bought this short water bottle that fits like that. See that? That's why I bought that water bottle. Not because it says Israel on it. I didn't buy it because it says Israel. Okay? I bought it because it's that short. So anyways, that's my little video about what happened in the state capitol today. It's really, it's just, I don't even know what to say. I mean, these people are just yelling and screaming. They have no knowledge of what they're yelling and screaming about, and they're just nasty and just nasty. So I guess that's it for now. I'll just shut it off now. So have a good night.